But he's Salad with the sprint off the right foot. Gets around Galloway, steps around another, steps around another.
On a mission so strong that obstacles like failure and loss only act as motivation. I mean, like, no one has the power to shatter your dreams unless you put something telling me to stop. I never do that in the name of love.
The hero for Penrith.
And when we meet in 10 years' time, we want to shake hands and have our rings clink.
Short and Soured podcast time, and in a matter of a couple of weeks, that will be the case as we are into the finals, and one team will be getting the rings and hopefully getting a reunion in a couple of years' time and being able to hear their rings clink as we head into the NRL finals for the 2021 season. Topsport.com.au, you have all the best odds in the game when it comes to the NRL. Check out their same game multi, but let's update the premiership market right now on Top Sport. You can go in there, check out the app today. Melbourne Storm $2.40, the Penrith Panthers $2.60, and have tightened considerably. Big move for the Manly Seagulls. Everyone's second favourite team this year if you're outside the top two. The Manly Seagulls at $6, South Sydney at $10, the Parramatta Eels $21, the Sydney Roosters at $34, the Gold Coast Titans at $81 with that win yesterday to sneak into the 8, and the Newcastle Knights at $81. It was a massive weekend of footy. The drama went right down to the end. If you were a Gold Coast Titans fan, you had to wait a little bit longer, but it was fantastic to see it go down to the last game. I think we were really excited to see the Gold Coast Titans finally get there and make the 8. I mean, they come up against the Roosters. Can they win the game? Yeah, I think they can, but we're just going to have to wait and see how that all pans out, how the Roosters line up, more injuries and everything like that. Feel like they still have the quality there to be able to win the game. Okay, let's go into this. We've got fan questions, but the Week 1 NRL Finals start on Friday night at Sunshine Coast Stadium. The Melbourne Storm $1.40 take on the Manly Seagulls at $2.95. The line is 8 right now, but you would think I think that'll tighten a little bit, knowing that Melbourne are into form, and maybe you see Josh Addo-Carr probably maybe not back with a hamstring. Cameron Munster, there's a little bit of talk around him. Will he be right to go? So I think that'll tighten up a little bit. But these two teams match up great. We saw a couple of weeks ago Manly really put it towards the Melbourne Storm. They weren't able to go long cycles, which I think that's something they have to improve on. But they are right there, and the Melbourne Storm are the Melbourne Storm. They continue to be dominant. 4 minor premierships in the last 6 years. That game's on Friday night at Sunshine Coast. Make sure you check out a special Short and Sour podcast this week with myself and Chad Townsend, the premiership winner from the Cronulla Sharks. We are doing a deep dive into all the finals games this week. That'll be out later in the week. Okay, game 2 is Saturday afternoon. It's the Sydney Roosters and the Gold Coast Titans up there at North Queensland Country Bank Stadium. The Sydney Roosters $1.27, the Gold Coast Titans $3.80. The line is 10.5. That's probably about right, but I think it should be a little bit tighter. I think the Gold Coast Titans have nothing to lose here. It's a free crack at them to get to the second week of the finals, and who knows with the Roosters, have they run out of enough petrol? But have they got enough petrol in the tank? They've been fantastic this year. They were great last week in a game that really meant nothing to them. They went out there and showed the class organisation that they are. So, I would have that line a little bit tighter. I think about the 9, maybe 8.5 come kickoff time. I think that there'll be some support for the Gold Coast Titans. Then a big blockbuster there, the doubleheader, Queensland Country Bank Stadium, is Penrith Panthers $1.23 and the South Sydney Rabbitohs $4.25, which is a long price for second v third. The line is 11.5. They played each other a couple of weeks ago, Panthers by 13, but the last 3 times in finals, they have been caught napping and started slowly, the Penrith Panthers. So if you think that can happen again, and maybe South Sydney jump out to a 12-0 lead, there's 23.5. You might be home. So that's Saturday night. And then Sunday afternoon, interesting one for me. The real hard gauge to get on this game is going to be up there at Rockhampton at Brown Park. Parramatta Eels $1.38 take on the Newcastle Knights at $3.10. Line is 8. Yes, the Eels rested their guys. They were valiant last week in defeat, but the Newcastle Knights were putrid last week, and I'll tip them. I think that they can win this game because they've got the X factor in Ponga, who could just get absolutely on fire and be able to to just win a game by himself like he did, well, not in Origin, but how he played in Origin a couple of years ago. So, I think that they could get that right. But anyway, like I said, keep an eye out for the podcast later in the week. Myself and Chad Townsend deep dive into all that kind of stuff. How teams are going to beat, what Chad saw during the year playing against those teams. Plus, we'll have the best bets thanks to Top Sport to keep an eye out for on their same game multi. All right, let's get into the week's action. Well, yesterday was just drama-filled. The Warriors got absolutely pummeled, but the drama within that from the Titans, you had to be careful, and you probably didn't like it if you were Justin Holbrook and you were the Titans, because you were going to lose a guy to suspension, and if you did that and you have to rearrange your team ahead of a sudden death game, I didn't like it. I thought they could have just been a bit more professional and just got the job done. But they sneak in there, and now they find themselves in a finals game, which is what they wanted. Plenty of questions coming through. We'll keep this going through the finals, maybe do a couple of little lives as well. But go to @SourOfficial on Twitter, @Sweet and Soured on the podcast programs, and then @SourOfficial on Instagram as well. Chris Camilleri wants to know, is Madge gone or does the club need a clean out? Great question. I think they're the most under pressure at the moment. They're in the paper every second day. The documentary probably didn't help, and the fact that they're losing yesterday, that was awful though. To turn up like that, and being part of the Dragons, we didn't turn up great either and lost the game that we probably should have won. But you take that inside knowledge hat off and you look at it from the outside in, and it's like, man, what's doing? There's a rumour about the coach every second week. The players, they've moved players on, they've had bad contracts and this and that. They can't get anyone to go to the club, so they need to do something. I don't think West Tigers fans are going to be happy if they go through the preseason, rock up for Game 1 2022, and nothing's changed. They're going to have to answer some big questions, and it's going to get tough. But I think that they will probably make a change with the coach, to be honest. I don't know anything. I know they'd be looking at Shane Flanagan. I know they'd be looking at Cameron Ciraldo. Do they look overseas and try and bring someone back? Christian Wolf is a person that we're hearing a lot about as well. So I'll have to wait and see. But the West Tigers have got lots of questions to be answered. There's no doubt about that. Chris Gooley wants to know, what positives can you take out of the Dragons season, and do you think they were better than 2020? Here's the positives, and if you've been listening to these podcasts and listening to me talk about the Dragons this year from inside those four walls, the young talent is there. Now, Anthony Griffin brought the young talent through at Penrith along with Phil Gould. Probably doesn't get the credit now, but when I was there, I played in Nathan Cleary's first game, and then I didn't play again. That was my last game. So, for me, he's not afraid of making the big decisions. So now he's cleared out some roster. He's made some decisions in terms of personnel going forward. It may be another long season in 2022 if those young guys, don't take that next step to the next level. But what you're looking at right now for the Dragons is a fact that you do have a number one in Tyrell Sloan. You do have a number 7 or 9. Jaden Sullivan's been fantastic. Talatau Amone. You've got the Fenai twins. Plus, you've got some guys there that are going to come in and provide some experience. Moses Mbai, Francis Molo has played State of Origin. George Burgess as well. So there's going to be some guys there. You get Ben Hunt back. I think that they'll improve next year and a bit more hook style next year because he's got those players. And it's not always easy to do. You get an opportunity at a club. It's not always easy to do, to be able to come in, rework the roster and try and have success straight away. It does take time, which is sometimes, as a coach, not what you have. Like I said, I'm going to pump up these podcasts. Chad Townsend and I later in the week. Nick Davis and Ty Kennelly have been doing the AFL ones as well, so keep an eye out for those. They've been going absolutely gangbusters and heaps of downloads as well, so we're loving that and appreciate everyone's support. All right, I want to go across to Instagram now. Jack O'Neill, big supporter of the Short and Sour pod. Appreciate your support, Jack. He wants to know who partners Burton next year in the halves for the Bulldogs. Great question. It's hard because I was a Brandon Wakeham fan. I think that he missed the kick this year. They just haven't really stuck with him. I like Kyle Flanagan. I think that he's just a young guy that, it's always hard when you're a young half now because everyone wants you to be like Nathan Cleary or Jerome Luai, but they don't look at the pack that Penrith have and say, man, if you put Kyle Flanagan or Wakeham behind that pack or the Melbourne pack, they'd be able to do the job just as, probably not just as good, but they'd be still able to win games. You look at the Bulldogs pack, they haven't been able to get forward at all. They haven't, which playing off a slow play the ball and standing still is no good for a young half to even be learning. So I think they're going to need a good kicking game, because Burton's kicking game at times I think is a little bit erratic. So I would probably be saying Kyle Flanagan, although I do know that they like Averillo, but I think he might be a bit more of an outside back centre, sort of ball running rather than organising in the halves. But if Jack, for your Raiders, whoever they don't pick, you should be looking to try and get down to the nation's capital, because you guys need a half, and I'm pretty sure that Ricky Stewart would love to get his hands on either Kyle Flanagan, Brandon Wake, and one of those young guys that he can help mould into a halfback and help the Canberra Raiders going forward. Sliger Brook wants to know, what's your thoughts on Tyrell Sloan, and love the content. Appreciate your support, Sliger Brook. You've been there all year. Sloan on the weekend set himself apart. So that when the Dufty was let go, and I like Matt Dufty, I think he's a great kid who's got fantastic attacking prowess and acceleration, all that kind of stuff, right? Sloan's got that. But there were two plays on the weekend for me, the Tyrell Sloan, that really convinced me and the Dragons that they have their number one for the future. He runs down on the left-hand side. He was able to run down Tane Milne after that break. Beg your pardon, it was Braden Burns. So he runs him down. With the game, they were playing awful, the Dragons, and he runs him down, saves a try, gets up the next play. Now, he's raw. He's raw attacking-wise. But he just chased and competed, and that is half the battle, if not 3/4 of the battle. If you want to be an NRL player, you just got to compete your ass off. And then the second time, Jackson Paulo, they got stripped for numbers out the back, a poor read on the inside, and then he came across and knocked the ball loose from Jackson Paulo. Now, this is a kid that's played 4 games, scored 5 tries. I just think he's an absolute superstar. Now, in the preseason, he's going to have to get a little bit bigger. He's going to have to get smarter. They're going to have to spend some time with him positionally, where to be defensively. Can he keep that going for 26 rounds? There's going to be some learning mistakes. I'm not saying that there won't be, but I really liked Tyrell Sloan on the weekend. I thought that solidified his position. He will start the number one for the Dragons in 2022. All right, keep an eye out, as I said, for these podcasts this week. I'm really looking forward to digging into Chad's knowledge on how these teams played this year. But the Melbourne Storm, Manly Seagulls, Friday night from Sunshine Coast Stadium. The Roosters and Titans, double header with the Panthers and the Rabbitohs Saturday night at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. And then Brown Park at Rockhampton is the Parramatta Eels and Newcastle Knights. Check out all the odds on topsport.com.au. I reckon they'll be co-favourites by kick-off time. The Penrith Panthers, $2.60. The Melbourne Storm, $2.40. And the Manly Seagulls, $6. All thanks to topsport.com.au. Stay safe. Get your questions in there. Keep downloading. Keep sharing the love for the Sweet and Sour, Short and Sour podcast. Appreciate it. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. Talk next week.